Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial, we're trying to see how to use Go for certain aspect of data science. Go for data science, right? So let's see what we're going through. So in this wonderful series of tutorials, we'll be trying to explore how to use Go to do certain aspect of data science. So we'll be going through Go basics. We'll not be going into all aspects of Go, to all fundamentals of Go, because there are a lot of tutorials around. Traversing Media, Steve just found a lot of resources around that teaches about the fundamentals of Go. So we're just picking some part of Go and then use it, which is relevant to data science. Okay, so then after that, you move on to how to set up your project structure using Go mode, and then also how to work with statistics using Go, right? How to do statistics and then math using Go. Then in the next section, we'll be moving on to the other aspect of data science, which can be done in Go, but it may take you a lot of time. That is using Go for data analysis, such as working with data frames and then CSV and the rest. Then you may not even touch data visualization, because with Go, it is interesting, but it may take you a lot of time, because these are the aspects that you need more time, and then you need powerful tools to help you do that. So Python is the best when it comes to EDA and then data visualization concerning data science pipeline. So we will be trying to see how to work with Go, but just to give you an idea of how to do that. Then after that, we move on to Go4NLP, right, in which you'll be trying to see how to do natural language processing activities using Go. Then we move on to machine learning using Go, and then the most important aspect, which Go is a pro here, is how to build web applications that are scalable to help productionize your machine learning model. So that is what we'll be trying to go through. So let's recap something. So in the previous video, we talked about the machine learning or data science pipeline, right? And we learned that we fetch data. Then after fetching data, you clean your data, you explore your data, you do EDA, you do feature engineering, then you build your model, you evaluate your model, you interpret it, very important, then you deploy or you productionize your model. So we already learned that when it comes to data cleaning, EDA and then feature engineering, Python is the best, right? Python is very good in case you are trying to follow this particular data science pipeline. It's very good for that. Go is not strong in data cleaning, EDA and then feature engineering, because you'll be spending a lot of time trying to write a simple code just to do this. It is scalable, it is powerful, it is fast, but you're going to waste a lot of time when you're trying to use Go for EDA, feature engineering, data cleaning. So it's better you use Python. When you're building model, you can use Go, you can use Python, but preferably use Python. But when it comes to productionizing your model, right, building web applications, that is where Go comes to that. Building strong, scalable infrastructure for your deployment of your model. That is where Go is strong. So that's what we're trying to see how to do that. But you touch all of these aspects in this wonderful tutorial series, of course. So let's start with it. So you start from scratch. So let's see our workspace and what we'll be using. So first of all, in case you don't have Go on your system, you can install it on your system by going to this particular official website, Golang.org, and then Go is cross-platform, so you can have it for Windows, Macintosh, Linux, Solaris, FreeBSD, and the rest, right? So you just go there and install it. It's very easy. There's a tutorial on how to install it and how to upgrade it from a current version to a newer version. Then you also need an IDE, right? So the recommended IDE is to use VS Code, right? So which is very useful. So you just go to code.visualstudio.com, then you download it and use it for your system. So that's what we try to use. There's also another alternative, which is Golang, which is created by JetBrains, that allows you to be able to work with Go in a very simple way. But you may need to try with the trial version, then you may pay for the commercial paid version, right? That is a shortcoming about it, but it's very useful and very powerful. You can also use Sublime Test or any tested data that you have and just install the extension for it. Moreover, there's also support for Go kernels in Jupyter Notebook, right? So you can also use, in case you have a fan of Jupyter Notebook, as most data science and machine learning engineers are using Jupyter Notebook, you can also have the kernel by going for Go4 Notes, right? Go4 Notes gives you the option of using Go as a kernel in Jupyter Notebook, and you can run Go code from Jupyter Notebook, right? So this is how it looks like. Then you can just go on with a kernel, just like maybe Julia. You can also run your Go code like this. So that is one other alternative. Then in case you don't want to install Go on the system, you want to try it online in the cloud, you can try the Go Playground, play.golang.org, or you can also try repo.it, right? And then you select the Go option. So that is the basic IDEs you'll be using and the basic repos you'll be using. But in our tutorial, we'll be trying to go with Visual Studio Code. So let's see how to work with it. So I'll just go back to my terminal. I've already installed it, so it is not going to be something you'll be doing. So I'll go back to my terminal. I've created a folder called Golang. Then I'm going to create another folder called Go4DataScience, right? So this may be the repository name. Then I'm going to move into Go4DataScience. Right, perfect. So let's open it with Sublime Test or VS Code specifically. So I'm going to go back and create a directory. I'm going to call it as Go Basics, right? The basics of Go, cd into basics of Go, or just open it with Sublime Code dot. So code is, this is because I've already installed Visual Studio Code, can just open Visual Code, VS Code using code, right? So code dot is going to open the current directory for us using VS Code. So as I said, VS Code is very useful. You can also use Golang, but with VS Code, you're supposed to install some extensions. So we try to see how to install those extensions. Take some time for it to open. Okay, so perfect. So this is how Visual Studio looks like, right? VS Code. We'll be calling it VS Code for short. So when it opens like that, I've already installed the extension, but this is how it's going to look like. So you just go back to the sidebar, right? And then you'll be able to install an extension. So I'll just go back here. You have the file opener, right? And the file explorer. You can check source control in case you are connected to GitHub and all of these things. You can run your code and debug it. You can also do some remote explorer. And this is the extensions option. So I just go to the extensions option. Then I'll install the Go extension. So if you are installing the official Go extension from Google, right? So it's going to be Go team org. So I'll click on this. We can just search for Go. If I go with Go, it's going to give us a lot of extensions that you can use with it, but this is what you're trying to get for. So Go team at Google, then you just install it, right? So once you install, it's going to ask you to download some stuff. You just click on it, you download them and update them, right? It's going to be giving you some notifications here. So that is something very simple. So let's create our file, our first file inside our Go Basics here, right? And then we'll start writing. So I'm going to call it as my package. Let's go to main.go, right? Perfect. So that is going to be a simple file we have created, right? So that is the basis of it. Now let's explore the anatomy or the structure of any Go program. So that anytime I run, it's going to give me a lot of information here. So just click on install all, right? It's going to install all the various extensions that you need. So this is going to be the workspace. So we'll be coding here. You can also see the output here. You can also have your terminal. The terminal that is coming from here. Your default terminal can also be seen inside VS Code, which is very cool, right? Very nice. And then you also have our debug console. We have our output, and then in case there are problems, you can also see the problems there, right? Very simple and very nice. So that is something very cool. So if you install the extension, it's automatically going to give you all these beautiful features out of the box. So it's installing them, then later on you're going to see these errors again. So let's explore the anatomy of a Go program, right? So whilst it's installing, let's explore it. So this is going to be a simple overview of the structure of every Go program. So this is the structure of a Go program, or just simply the anatomy of a Go program. So every program in Go must start with this particular option, package, right? Main. So the package main is trying to tell us that this particular file, right? This particular file, right, is supposed to be executable. It's supposed to be treated as an executable program that I can compile and then send it over, right? So this is the meaning of this package main. Without this package main, it's not going to be executable. It's going to be seen as a library instead of being an actual executable program. Then we also have the second option, which is going to be the import. So this is the libraries that you want to import, any other external package you want to import and use, as well as standard libraries that you want to import and use. You just go with this particular option. And the next part of the structure of a Go program is the main, right? So func is how to define a function, right? That is the keyword func. And then main is very, very important. This is an obligatory entry point. That is where your Go compiler is going to look to execute and run your entire file, right? So without this main, it's not going to run it, right? So this is going to be your entry point for executing your program. Then whatever you import in Go, most of the imports have capital P, right? That is the syntax. Anything that is happening with capital P is like a function that is coming from another package, right? Very simple and very cool. So this is going to be the function declaration in the body of the code. So to recap, every program must have a package, right? Package main for it to be executable. You can also call package something, but that means it's not executable. You can't compile it. It's going to give you an error. Then you also have a session of importing a package. So you can import the FMT, which is a format to help us print a lot of things and do a lot of stuff. Then you also have the main function. Then you can also have sub functions that you can use always within the main function, right? Something very simple. So it's taking some time to install all the things that we need, right? These are all the various features it's going to be installing on our system that we can use it, right? So it's taking some time. So let's start with it. So I just go back again to this our file. Then as I said, we must start with what? Package main. So if I go with package main, I'm telling Go that this particular file is now executable. I can compile it and execute it, right? That's the first thing. Then the next one is we need to have an import. We're going to be importing FMT. So this import FMT means that I want to use this particular FMT to do some other interesting stuff, right? It must always be in double quote. If you do it FMT like this is seen as an error, right? In Go, if it is a single character, we put it in single quote, but if it is any other thing that is not a single character, that is strings and the rest, you must always be in double quote. So this is going to give us an error because that's why it's giving us this red stuff here, because it is an error, right? Perfect. So it must always be this option, double quote FMT. We will try it after it has finished installing. Then the next thing we need, I don't know whether you can see it, the next thing we need is to also work on the main function. So let's hide this one out. So Control B to take off this is to go with our function func, right? That is how we define a function. There's a function declaration, then I'm going to call it as main, right? Which doesn't take any argument, and then this. So this is going to be the entry point for everything, right? Then I can just go with FMT, which is coming from here, dot, and you can see all the various functions you can do, right? So we can have my print line. So we have print line, which is going to leave a line, we're going to print, and then give us a line. You can see this, all this information that is coming. This is coming from VS Code because we have installed an extension. So it's giving you a lot of information out of the box. I can pass in whatever I want to do. So let's say hello Go for data scientists, right? Something like that. So that is all. So this is how to write a simple hello program or hello world, hello Go program in Go. Very simple and very cool. So you can see this error, but sometimes after you have saved it, the error goes away. So asking you a lot of things, so it's not available. You can just get it with go get v. So that is how to install in the package. Go get _v. We'll be going through it later. So let's install it. Go to install it here. It's adding it to our environment variable. Very interesting. Right? Perfect. So that's finished installing all the tools that we need. Very cool and very nice. Now, how do I run this? So to run this particular one, I just go back to my terminal, right? And then I can just run it from here. So I can just go with go, right? Run. If I go with go run, it's going to pick that particular file that you are running, right? The particular file there, which is the main file, and then run it for us. So let's move into our location, which is our Go basics. And you can see from here, we have our file here, right? Go. So in case I want to run this particular stuff, here I just go with go, run, right? And I'll just go with the name of the file, main.go. So this is going to run it. It's going to run it and do this particular step. It's going to run it and give us our result, right? Without building it. So that we are seeing the word hello Go for data scientist. Very simple, right? So that is something simple. So this particular code here, it's compiled it, but did not save it as a build file. So you can't see it, only the previous file is there. So to be able to see this, where this particular file went when it compiled it, you can just go with this option. So let me position it beside it. Let's go with this. So go, run. Then I can also specify where it went. Right, so to be able to know where it went, I just go with work, right? Then I'll just run the file again. So this is going to tell me that when I run this particular file, show me the location that this file was pre-compiled and placed, right? So if I run it, it's going to show me the location, and it's found inside my temp directory. So if I go back to my terminal and I go to this particular place, you can see. So let me copy this one here, and then let's use our main terminal to see it, right? So I'll be able to see it very well. Go back again to cd into, let's cd, let's make it something like this. So I'm using Terminator, right, to help us see it very well. So let's place it vertically, right? Perfect. So now if I go back to this location, cd into this working directory, this is where it was saved, right? Into my temp. Right, if I check it out, you can see that we have our build there, this particular build that we had. Let me show you this build, go build. You can see we have it here, this go build 777, right? So this is the pre-compiled file, right? If I run it again, you're going to see that it's going to give us the same result, right? That is where anytime you run this particular option, anytime we go with go run, right, and then the particular package, it pre-compiles it and places it inside a temporal directory. Very cool, right? Very nice. You can know where it went. But in case you want to build it up, this one does not build it, but to build the program, to be able to send it over someone to be able to run that pre-compiled build file, just go with go run, not go run, but go build, then the name of the file. So this is going to run it, execute it, compile it, and give us our file. So I check it back again. So we have our executable file here, right? The main file. And this main file, we can actually run it by going with this option, main. It's going to execute it perfectly for us. That is something very nice with Go. So Go makes it easy for you to be able to quickly build your program, right, without any problem. Very cool. So that is something simple about the introduction to Go. So we learned that previously. This is the anatomy of Go. The package main makes it executable. The format, right, is the package you are importing. Then the mandatory main, which is going to be the entry point to execute your program, and then the basic stuff. So let me make some modifications and do some intentional errors, and so that you'll be able to help you understand this particular stuff, right? My English is becoming some way. Let me change this one. I'm going to change this one from this. Let's go back here. Let me position it beside it. So I'll push this one to the other side. So let's move the terminal. Let's move everything to the other side. I'll move it to the right plane, right, so that we can see the result here. So let me bring myself down. Perfect. So that you see whatever we're doing beside it, right? Now I'm intentionally going to make a mistake. As I was saying, this is making it what's executable, right? So if I change it one and use something different, like let's say U, right? I save it. You're going to see that it's going to work. There's no error. But if I go back and I run it, so go build or go run, the main.go is going to give us an error. Cannot run because it's a non-main package, right? This particular stuff make it executable. So without it, you can't even run it. And that means you can't even compile it. So if I go back again, I try to build it. Let's build it. It's also going to give us an error, right? So if I run it, this is the initial one. Let's remove the previous one. And let's run it again. Perfect. It was built, but let's try and execute it. Right? You see that it was not even built. It's not there. You can't find it. Right? It will not be able to build it because of this. Right? So this one makes it executable and allows it to be able to be built. So it is very important. That is the main. So this main is not referring to this main, but this main makes it executable. Very cool. Right? Now let's try another example. So if I change this one and I make it like single quote. In Go, single quote is for characters. So if I change it like this, it's giving us an error. The rod here means that it's already an error. The underline means an error. If I click on it, it's telling me that this is an illegal run literal go. So we can't do that. If I try to run it again, let's run it again. It's going to give us the same error. The same error we saw here, right? Illegal run literal go. The same error we are seeing here. Very, very cool. And then this number 3 and 8 is line 3, right? And it's giving us this particular option. So that is something very interesting about using Go, right? It gives you, as I said, it was error checking as inbuilt feature. as most programming languages are, but using Visual Studio Code or Golang is going to give you a lot of feature and upper hand. So we just correct it out. So you can just, there are some packages that allows you to be able to correct it, but I can just go straight away with this. So let's fix it. So telling us the same error as we did above, and now let's take off this and make it this, right? So you have seen the importance of this from the anatomy that we did, from the structure. You have seen the importance of this, right? Very cool. And then one thing, that anytime you import a package or something, you must always use it, otherwise it's going to give an error. So let's try it in the next session. So next session, I'm trying to see how to work with variables. So thank you for watching. See you in the next session. Stay blessed. Bye.